watching. I'm your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff in Podcast 2. Today, my guest is the incredible Declan Finn. How incredible, I don't entirely know as we just met, but hey, we're about to find out. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. And as far as incredible, I'm fairly average.
Very happy. I'm just like, seriously, no joke for just a second here is I have found that everybody has a great story to them. And upon reflection, there's usually something everybody's got, I think, amazing qualities. Now we all have shitty qualities too. We all have that. Like I have an obnoxiously loud mouth, as you can see. I'm very good at using it. It's like you're like, it's come see, come saw, right? But it's just like one of those situations where we all have great things that make us really awesome. We have things that don't make us quite so awesome. So, what like average kids is actually, in my opinion anyway, kind of incredible. Anyway, that maybe I'm being an optimist, but hey, fuck it, that's who I am.
Well, bit of background on me, if that'll help any.
Yeah.
I'm the author of 30 books now. I've been publishing for about 10 years. I've been writing for 24. I've been writing since I was 16, so this is a mental health crisis I've been going through for a while.
This is my mental health crisis. I have characters in my head that talk to me.
Yeah. Yes, I often refer to writing as legalized schizophrenia, and every other writer I've talked to again, yep. So I'm apparently in good company. I'll take it.
You're a conduit to strange people in your head that you didn't know existed. They don't seem real to anybody else. I mean, it's either a schizophrenia or it's a one hell of a drug trip. One or the other.
This is true. Although I do have some people who are leaving reviews of, I'm now praying for a fictional character to get through alive. Yes, you did a fairly good job. It's like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, no.
So the characters you'll feel to people other than me. So.
Well, that's what happens is like, I'm actually editing someone's comic right now, and he's at the point where when he first talked to me, he's like, I want to make sure it has more horror elements. It's like, no, dude, your goal, you're at the end of this book now. You're at the payoff, right? You have to pay off right at this point because comics are a little different than novels in that pieces of the story are released serialized. Now you can do serialized novels, and I know people who are really good at that, but when you get right down to it, right? The idea is you want to make whoever picks up your book feel something. Whatever that is. It doesn't matter who you are. And yes, so you're like a conduit to, I mean, imaginary people seems kind of weird because I've always been the proponent of something J.K. Rowling said. Right? When Harry asked Dumbledore at the end of King's Cross, hey, is this real? Or is this all in my head? And I love Dumbledore's response. Of course it's all in your head. But why would that make that any less real? And I like that because I mean real is such a relative term. You know what I mean? So I mean you might as well embrace the fact that I mean real is relative to whoever how you view it for most of us. So like imaginary friends or imaginary characters, they're real to us, damn it.
Yeah. But anyway, I also bounced around a bit from genre to genre. I've basically, if there's a genre that's not nailed down, I'll usually go for it. I've done everything except for what are they calling it nowadays? Erotica.
Okay.
Although I remember back when it was called porn. I don't know. I'm an old fogey.
Okay.
So
there are differences, but yes, it definitely has. I have friends. I've interviewed people in the romance community.
Okay.
They're actually, to be totally honest, they are underrated as writers.
Oh,
right.
A lot of them
are. Yeah. They are underrated. It's not as easy to do what they do as people think it is, right? So it's one of my friends actually could make a sock erotic, which is kind of like that's a skill. That's a skill. I can't do that. I'm not that good. I need help, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? So
the only people for whom writing is easy is any book where they literally just hit replace all on the names and they publish a book, and I haven't found too many of them.
No.
No matter how many people insist, oh, this romance genre is so repetitive and so formulaic, it's like, okay, are they literally repeating the exact words? No. Okay, then somebody actually had to sit down and write the bloody thing. So
yeah. Oh, that's no, it's not. And so yeah,
mhm.
it's one of those things when you look at the creative process, it's just like, now some people have got their stuff down to a formula. See James Patterson. I mean, he's like,
yeah.
ooh, yeah. Hey, you can't deny his business model. There are other things about it. You can argue, but you can't argue his business model, right?
Yeah.
So,
hey, I will actually grant that he releases 12 books a year at the moment. I will say that I like about 3 out of every 12 he releases these days, because it's all a matter of, so which ghostwriter is writing for him now. So
yeah, that's it. Like, there's a formula to his stories, and
mhm.
again, it's business from a business standpoint. You can admire that.
Oh yeah.
But
Although
but it's like going to a fast food restaurant. Yeah, a McChicken sandwich is something we all know exists. I don't know if my diet every day should be a McChicken sandwich, right? You need real food somewhere in there, like maybe lasagna, steak. Those things are good. And good writing is like a good meal, in the sense that if it's really, really, really good, right, you feel it and you know it, and it touches you in a way that you never would have imagined, right? I remember the first book that did that for me was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, right? And
yeah.
and other books and there's been a lot of other books that have done it, like Stephen King's done it with me with his Dark Tower series, especially Wizard and Glass and the Dark Tower itself. I openly cried at the end of the Dark Tower, right? But that's what you go for. Like we want to say something, whether we want to acknowledge this part or not. But at the end of the day, we want to make a connection to people. So it's like, hey, this is what I say. This is kind of what I feel. Do you feel? And it's really cool when you get somebody that gets a response to you. It's like, I really dug what you did. It's like, it's really, really good. And it's like, oh, wow, thanks. Someone else feels like what I feel. It's my favorite praise, either I ever get is from a book. I'm judging from the smile on your face. It's that way for you too.
Oh yeah, it helps, and trust me, if anybody ever reads a book and contemplates leaving a review, just leave a review. Trust me, we enjoy it.
That's right. Yeah, and even the 1-star reviews, some of them can be funny, right?
Oh, they can be funny. A lot of the ones I've tripped over and don't even. It might just be my luck, but you all right?
I'm all right. Oh yeah,
okay.
I'm totally fine.
No, every other 1-star review I get, it's like, okay, I understand why you gave me a 1-star review. You don't know how to spell.
Oh, well, see, I'm oddly thankful for those for one very specific reason. It keeps me on the algorithm. By all means, I don't care if you can't spell. Like, I don't like. It sounds really. I know it sounds really, really incredibly lame, but it like.
For business model, it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Having constant reviews or even negative ones, they all help.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Especially
if you can't spell, God bless you.
Oh yeah. Hey, I especially like the ones where I forget which author I follow, who got lambasted with a whole bunch of negative reviews. The book had barely come out, but everyone had decided we're going to, get together and give him 1-star reviews, spam him up down the line. And it's like, guys, you got him to 100 reviews before the book was out for 12 hours. Do you know how well that helped him on Amazon? So, I don't know. It's hilarious. But then again, some people don't know how some people don't even know how algorithms work as far as book selling goes.
That's part of it, but it's the whole, like, Howard Stern is where we learn this from. Polarity sells. Polarity sells. True story. The people in his apex, I can't speak for now, but in his absolute apex, the people that listened to Howard Stern the most hated him. It's true. It's true.
Oh, yeah.
The research found that the people that hated Stern listened to him more than the people who liked him. People who liked him listened to him for about an hour. People that hated him listened to him for nearly 2. So
Yeah.
that's a human nature thing. That is just a human nature thing.
Oh, yes. Hey, rage clicks sell. They really do. You know, no matter how you want to phrase rage click.
Well, it's just straight up, right?
Mhm.
I've learned that like you. One of the hardest things I've learned as an author in the last 2 years have taught me this especially. Taking a stand on something, anything, is going to create that polarity. Doesn't matter what it is, right? So what you got to recognize then as a creative or an author, it's like I put a book out there and it's terrible, right? That actually is not in itself a death blow anymore, right?
No, it's not.
It's not a death blow. So what you want to do, what you want is you want people to be able to. Does my stuff create a reaction? Right. That's it. It's that's. I mean, it sounds fucking like a KISS method here, but that's it. If you like it, if people love it, they will tell their friends. If people hate it, they will tell their friends.
Even
That's
louder.
always been the case. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And if you tell enough people, curiosity wins both ways. Why does he love it so much? Why do they hate it so much? What's so bad about this book, right? Now, I've mocked them in the past. I've mocked the book from the past. 50 Shades of Grey is a very laughably bad book. It like in terms of quality, it's laughably bad. But I don't begrudge her success.
Oh, heck no.
Heck no. I don't begrudge it.
Frankly, right? It's like, oh, look, you know, oh, you don't like my book. I will go weep in my palace of money.
That's right. That's right. She's already won. Like, she won where it counted. Amen. Right? So you just gotta look at it.
Oh, yeah. It's usually everybody who tries to, what's the term nowadays? Anyway, anytime it's like, oh, yes, we hate X online. First of all, social media, not a fan. But no, every time somebody tries to go onto a rampage and somebody trends because someone's pissed off at one reason or another, it's like, okay, congratulations, you've just helped them sell a few thousand more books. The author thanks you. Keep insulting them.
Well, no, that's just it. Like it's not just author; it's anything.
True.
You've created recognition for that person.
Hey, I did not know who Dave Chappelle was until sometime mid last year. You know, recently it's so, you know, go on the phone, go on Twitter. It's like, what is a Joe Rogan and why do I care? It's like, okay, people care.
Well, that's just it. You know? Like the more you attack something, something online, the more power you give it. It's something I've learned. That's how it works. These companies, these companies have figured out that polarity sells and polarity creates money. That's why very often sometimes you'll go on your social feeds, sometimes you'll deliberately see stuff that contradicts anything you believe in, because they want to create that engagement, so that you two will fight, and the more you fight, the more they make money off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why I've gotten into the habit of, oh look, this person's trying to do rage clicks. Do I care? Nope. Block. Next.
I tend to actually, I was gonna block somebody. They blocked me before I blocked them. It was funny. It was funny because so one of my guests last week got sick, and they came out and just started laughing about it. And I'm like, "What's with you?" Right? And she said, "Karma comes to deserving people." I'm like, I don't understand, and I'm about to block you. But she did it to me first. So it's like, for whatever reason, I don't.
That sounds like one of those bad colds where it's like, yes, I don't know what happened in the last 72 hours. I've been out of it. I've had that sort of reaction before, but I usually don't try to operate heavy machinery or the internet at the same time while I'm going through that sort of thing.
Like I didn't get it. But I earned a block. I don't like people laughing at other people's pain. It's not what I'm a big fan of, right? But that's what happened. So it was like, okay, so I'm not like, if you do that, and I see you do that, and I call you out on it, and just like, and that's your reaction. It's like, I'm gonna block you. You've just kind of, congratulations, you've earned a block.
Oh yeah.
But beyond that, I let people be assholes on their own social feeds. It's not my place to I'm not a parent.
Yeah.
I'm not your parent. If you're gonna be an ass, you're gonna be an ass on your own social feeds.
Oh heck
go,
yes.
Go do it.
Oh, 90% of who I wind up blocking are companies, because it's like, okay, this ad is boring. This ad is boring. If I keep blocking you, maybe I'll actually get to my feed.
That's a good strategy. If you're good, I'll block you. If you're actually good, I'll keep you on. If you entertain me, or no, block.
Oh yeah.
Block.
Hey, I believe the only commercials I can ever remember are the ones that are genuinely entertaining.
Mhm.
But there are so few nowadays. It's like, okay, nope, next.
Well, so the one I still remember from as a kid, this guy is just going down bungee jump. He gets to the bottom. There's a guy with a pair of underwear there. Oh, thanks. Grabs it. I'm like, that was good. That was I was entertained. It was, and I remember, and again, I still remember the goddamn commercial. So there you go. There's my brain damage right there, ladies and gentlemen. Television has warped my mind like it has warped everybody else's.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Hey, recently I actually had something similar happen, because I was trying to remember one clip from one television show from a long time ago, 87, I think, because I had only seen literally 3 seconds of it, and I was trying to put it together, and it's like, and I was watching something on YouTube the other day. Comes up, it's like, wait, that's the scene. The heck? That's weird.
Hey, going announcements. Here's just I freely acknowledge Joe Compton. I have definitely other issues that have warped my brain over the years. I can blame video games. I can blame Robert Heinlein books post Stranger in the Strange Land. Right? That's a hell of a thing to read at like 15, 16, 17, let me tell you. The look on your face is like, yeah, that's true.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So I mean, and also professional wrestling worked my brain. I'm totally okay with it. I've come to terms with the fact, So, but I mean, we all have our things, right? So,
you prefer ROH, TNA, WWE, or do you prefer more classic?
I'm an AEW guy right now.
Okay.
ROH is okay. Their style isn't for me forever. I like a little bit more story than that, but I do enjoy the athletics. Like sometimes you just want a pure athletic. My favorite stuff, AEW is my favorite stuff right now. But if you want to go like all time, I'd have to say like the old, like 1997 WCW, 1998 to 2000 WWE. It's my favorite stuff. Right, that's the stuff that warped my brain the most.
Yeah, I've only caught on board to it the last 15. It is 15 years, right? Yeah, it's only 15 years. So yeah, I've only heard stories of that era, but it's like, gee, whatever happened to Stone Cold Steve Austin anyway?
Yeah, but like I said, his peak was 1998, early 99. That was his absolute peak. 1997 for me was awesome because of this. Yeah, listen. That there's a reason why in the Bible and a lot of these other stories, like it's kids that change the world. It totally is.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, I remember good God, at 10 I was reading Once and Future King, and I was actually in a movie theater with my father. I'm not even sure I was 10 at the time, when there was one movie trailer, and all it was a giant mosquito in a block of amber, and he said, Jurassic Park, they're making the movie. It's like, okay, so I'm reading this book too. So And
Yeah.
that was all before I was 10. Granted, the graphs got a little heavy after a while, but still fun.
Oh, for me, that graph-heavy, science-heavy book was David Brin's. He had a story about a black hole in the middle of the Earth, and
Nice.
and I thought the concept was amazing, like totally. But I love Asimov's writing for one really good reason. He could take big scientific concepts and he simplified them, right? Right. He was really, really good at them. And the thing about that was the thing about science fiction like that is, right? You want your concepts simplified, amplified down so that most people can understand what's going on. Asimov could do that better than anybody. Brin could not. That was the thing about Brin. He doesn't have the ability to simplify things like Asimov does. And so what I find with Brin is when I try him, I almost skip some of the science stuff. Some of it. It's not because I don't want to learn, but I also feel like if I'm getting force-fed that much information that expansively, it takes away from what you're trying to do. You want, like, good science fiction, in my view, should be able to mesh facts with storytelling, right? Seamlessly. And
For preference.
that is my preference. I like both. I don't mind having a concept explained to me, but it's like, but I mean, it's like anything else, like any kind of story. Like, I loved Philip Pullman's Golden Compass, Amber Knife.
Okay.
Spyglass I hated that story because I hated the last one because he had this really cool War in Heaven idea, and he spent like he spent basically the last book explaining the concepts of telling us the story. He showed us this abstract philosophical concept, and I'm like, I don't want to be preached to. I don't mind having stuff explained to me, but I don't want to be preached to. There's a very thing I'm between. I'm here to I've come for your story. I haven't come to be lectured, right?
Oh,
yeah, that's the thing. And it's a very, very tricky line with any kind of book is how much information is too much, because you need some. And I'm not saying don't explain what's going on. If I don't know what's going on, I'm going to get lost and get bored, and I'm going to fall off a cliff that way too. But if all I'm getting is this like 8 to 12 pages of graphs and explanations and concepts thrown at me in the middle of this book, I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, you've taken me out of the story now because now you've fed me this in the middle of your big thing. I don't know if I can get back into this anymore.
Oh yeah. Well, by book 3, everything that should be relevant to you should already have been explained.
Yes.
Especially if you're shooting for a trilogy. If you're still explaining stuff at that point, there's a problem.
Yeah. Big time. And that was the thing, right? And after that, I never read Philip Pullman ever again. Not because I don't think he can be a good writer. I just don't want to come to be dictated to.
Oh yeah. Trust me, I understand this.
Yes.
Those are most of the books that I've thrown out. It's like, I want character or I want story. If you're going to lecture me, go get a YouTube channel or something.
Yeah.
Enjoy your Twitter feed.
Yes. But on the same token, like, ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to this, it's not that you shouldn't explain your concepts. You should. But you should be mastered your concepts to the point. It's like, how can I quickly give this information to my audience so that they can understand what's going on? Because that's key. Like, that is super important, because you got to realize information is important, but you just give nothing but information, you're going to kill whatever flow of stories you've built up. Oh, yeah. And that's just the way it is. And there are other ways to present information. Fantasy novels do maps. Sometimes they do character stuff in the back of the book. Sometimes. But by and large, they try to let the story kind of stay its story, and they don't go off that train. Because if they go off that train, this is what happens. I get lost, and I have to work. Declan, I got a confession to make. I'm lazy. Right? I think most of us are that lazy too. It's like, if I have to work this hard, no.
No, especially if you're reading a book for pure enjoyment. It's
Yeah.
I did not come here to be lectured to. Can we use the knife that kills God? Can we fire this gun in Act One? Even if it's a shoulder mounted nuclear missile or something stupid like that. Just move the story, blast it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time I've seen a Gil God plot. I watched an anime called Code Geass. That was the entire second season was trying to kill God for until the last act. And the last act becomes something else. But I mean, that's literally the plot. They had to have a sword of Akasha. That's what, if you look that up, it's like it's going to kill God. They explain how they're going to do it too, and it's just like, okay, I'm in this. This is absurd as fuck, but I'm in. Let's see where this goes, right? Like, let's see where this goes, right? And it's one of those things. It's one of those truths about stories, right? Doesn't matter how absurd it is. You can get people in. Like my last release, I had Alice in Wonderland play Jason of the Argonauts croquet in the underworld.
That's not the weirdest thing I've ever heard Alice
No,
in
it's
Wonderland
not.
do.
It's absurd though, right? It's an absurd concept. It's not even close. Listen. I have written weirder shit. I've written about a unicorn that literally farts out advertisements. I do things to amuse myself. I totally admit it.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Well, don't we all?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's part of the fun of being a creative too. It's like, you know what stupid shit can I put in here that I can have fun with? Right? I don't care, and this might sound horrible. Not everything I write is about my readers. Sometimes it's about me, right? And in the sense that I'm entertaining myself. That's the most entertaining way I can tell this that I'm going to get a laugh at, even if I'm the only person that gets it. I'm okay with this character flaw. I'm very okay with it. Life's too short not to have some fun, right? So, I've come to peace with that. But that's my point. I can write about anything. I learned this. I can write about anything I want. And people will come along with me for the ride. It doesn't matter.
Oh, definitely.
As long as I have a character they can connect to, and as long as they feel like they can enjoy this. So lecturing people about how something works extensively. Sometimes you have to. You can't escape that completely, right? If you have a concept that's important to your world or important to your story, you have to explain it. It makes sense. It's part of the payoff. And and all of us, there's a little patience that has to be done. But if it's ad nauseum, oh God, then once it gets to the ad nauseum point, it's like, your editor could have fixed this. I know this because I get my editor to fix this stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, heck yes. One of my bigger problems is when the character decides to start lecturing other people, and it's like, I'm going to hit the mute button on you now. You're just I've had one character go on and on for a while, and it's like, well, you just shut up already and get to the point. Where I cut back the entire conversation like 5 times, and people actually, there were a few of the 1-star reviews I have gotten have been, well, he got really preachy over here. It's like, no, it wasn't me. It was this psychopath, because they were busy being a psychopath. It's like,
so you had a Jubal Haershaw in your book. Do you know who I mean by that? Jubal Haershaw?
No, I don't know that reference.
Okay, so this is from The Stranger in a Strange Land.
Okay.
Heinlein had a character named Jubal Haershaw, and he got incredibly preachy. But the opposite thing happened with that. See, the danger with that with an author is you can fall in love with that as well. You got to be very careful. I am righteous and stuff. And oh my God, I love the sound of my own voice. It happens to us all. We are all guilty of this a little bit.
Yeah. Well, this one annoyed me so much. It's like, okay, you know what? You were going to be a one-shot character. Oh, I was actually going to address that because this person annoyed me so much. It's like, okay, congratulations. You're in book 2 and you're going to die. How can I find the perfect way to kill you? And I don't know. I think I did fairly well.
Did you filibuster him?
No. Portal straight into hell.
Oh, okay. You just didn't bullshit around. You know what? You're just not worth it. No irony. We're just sending you some. We're just sending you somewhere.
Well, this person opened the portal to hell, so kind of irony. Like,
Yeah.
You want the portal? Fine, go.
Now, I'm not saying you should do this, but this is just me, right? The portal opens again, and the demon comes back and looks at you. Listen, what would it take to get him to come back over here? What would it take? Because we're stuck with him. I mean, it's hell, but this was cruel. This was cruel. Why were you so cruel with us? I would do that in a story. Like I like literally like that thought has crossed my. Listen, I know we're hell, but haven't we suffered enough? Look at what we have to go through. You send us this asshole too? Like why?
Yeah, that would have been very tempting, except it was one of those situations where, you know how James Bond always kills off the main bad guy, then has to deal with the sidekick? Well, this sidekick was like a 7 foot tall voodoo Bokor who just wouldn't die. So it's like, nope, well, we don't have enough time to, have that particular routine. Although I do like it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. You have yourself a good one, Joe. I'm nice to see you. I'm sure. Thanks for bringing the conversation in. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen. Thanks, and also thank you. Absolutely. We're talking about like characters that we know we want to kill because they're too preachy as fuck, and I came up with an absurd way to bring a character back. It's like, please don't. And it's like, please. And actually, I even have a story in my head to end this. This is the way I story. The character didn't realize he is a preachy, sanctimonious asshole and wants to change his ways, but can't. Right? And it's like, this is one place I belong. This is one place I belong. I don't want to do this anymore. And then make him do the ultimate punishment on us all. Have him run for office and win. But
No. I live in New York. We get that every day. That's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Usually election day.
Now I just kind of want to give you a hug. I've seen some of what you got to deal with. I'm sorry, brother. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
We live so far.
No.
Thankfully, it's like, okay, well, here's Manhattan. Here's Long Island. Here's Queens. Just keep going. Okay. We're right over here, right on the border. So we haven't gotten to the real suck yet. So here's hoping.
Well, like I said, I want to give you a big hug because you can see it coming. I'm sorry, you can see it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look,
So
I don't know if you're paying attention up here. Like we're going through, and I don't know what it has gotten completely batshit up here. So.
Where is up here?
Canada.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Well, I think that here's the thing. We are now at convoys. Which is note the plural. Convoys, not one. We are approaching a dozen. The new one just formed. A new one just formed where I used to live in Windsor, Ontario. It's blocking the border there. We have another one in Sarnia, Ontario, blocking the border there. We have another one in Coutts, Alberta, blocking the border there. We have another one in Quebec City. We have the one in Ottawa, which everybody knows about. We also have one in Toronto. We also have ones in other places as well. So, like, I'm expecting we might break a dozen convoys by this weekend. So, I think, like, I just look at this and go, so our government done fucked up. Because it gets to that point when that's the case. Our government done fucked up.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I've done about 30 books, and I will lay money that at least half of them I have either labeled government has either been stupid or malicious. Yep. Because that's what I just assumed the default position is.
Ours is both. So it's like one of those. It's so. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how, but because it's their mess. Like, ultimately speaking, they're the ones that cause all this shit to happen.
It's politics. It's always the politician's fault. It really is.
Yes. We'll move on past it. But like I said, yeah, so I know what it's like to have dumpster fires. Like, I'm watching this. Like I said, convoys are plural now, and they're growing. So, and they've been plural for about 5 days. So it's just kind of one of those things where just like, it's gotten to the point like I don't like something has to break or they're going to keep growing. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and the real bad problem is, gee, they're truckers. They are used to long stretches of having absolutely nothing to do.
Mhm.
Like, so yeah, we can park.
Well,
Which,
it's not even that. It's not just truckers anymore. It's like everybody on some level or another. My favorite protest over the weekend was in Toronto, Ontario. There was a
okay.
chic dude doing like Arabic music was playing. He was doing like a little dance, and everybody was giving like crowd surfing him in Toronto, right? There were bouncy castles in Ottawa over the weekend. I mean, there were bouncy castles there, right? And there were like this has become like it's no longer what it started to be as. It's something else now, and there more of them are happening everywhere.
Well,
So at
I will.
this,
I will trade you. I will trade you. When they were burning Manhattan, it's like I'll trade you Manhattan. I'll trade you buildings on fire for bouncy castles.
I would too. But I mean, I would too. But like I said, it's we've hit like when you see something this big, this growing, like what it inevitably like you have to look at the very heart of it, which is usually your government has stopped listening to people. When it's gotten to this big, that's what the problem is. And the solution there's no other way to stop it but to get the government talking to people again. When that happens, this will come to an end. Everything else that's going to be tried, because we're going through the usual stuff now, is a Chinese finger puzzle. The more you resist this, the bigger it's going to get. That's just how it works. It's human psychology.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
No quibbles there.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for something. I would say I would love to organize something like this in New York, but we're running out of people so fast it's kind of hard to organize.
Well, no, see, here's the difference. You guys are leaving. Like that's what's happening with you guys. You guys are leaving. You see which way the wind's blowing there, and you're like, "Fuck this." There's lots of other places to go. Yeah. That's what's happening in New York. It's also to some degree it's happening in California too. Fuck this, right? That's like everybody can see which way the wind's blowing. The difference is in the United States, some states never changed. Some states are trying all kinds of things right now, and the places that are trying all kinds of and because there are other places to go, you're not protesting by en masse on the streets. What's happening is people are voting
with their feet.
Yep, that's it. It's just different. It's like I'm not dealing with this bullshit. I'm getting out of here, and you can, right? And you can, and that's what's happening down there. It's just the difference. The difference is there's no place to go up here, right? So that's right. Whereas so here where you guys are just like, well, New York sucks. I mean, I'm not crazy about Ohio, but I can go to Ohio. I can go south. I can go west. Fuck New York.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, like I said, I have my empathy for you guys, right?
Thanks.
My empathy. Yeah.
But yeah. No, hey, there's a very good reason why I've been doing science fiction these days, because every time I've done about 12 books in urban fantasy horror, and every time it's horror, it's, honestly, after a while, I had to start basing books on current events or previous events, because every time I took a simple concept of, all right, how can we make this utterly horrifying? You take it out to the absolute absurdity, and nobody's going to go there, right? Oops. 4 months later, headline news. It's like, can you at least wait for me to publish the book first, please?
Well, no. Then you kind of feel like you're like, oh my god, like going back to that Messiah complex with Dune earlier, right? It's like, oh my god, I predicted this and came true. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
You don't want. You want to be right on something good, like a new flavor of ice cream. You don't want to be right about doom and gloom. See, no one hates ice cream. No one.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got to a point where it's just, just in case, I'm going to put in the name of a friend of mine and have them win the lottery.
Hey, you know what? Why not? Put it out in the ether. It's actually good. It's good to do that. Like, honestly, anybody listening to this show, watching this show, I wish them nothing but success. That's what I want to put out there, because I don't want people to have a miserable time, right? Just like, that is what it is. It is what it is. And I say that, so like, life's hard enough. You don't need me to make it harder on you, right? Right. So I mean, the best revenge on anybody is living a good life. Also, wishing everybody a good life too can be the best revenge, because kindness is actually the meanest thing you can do to people sometimes. It really is.
Oh yes. Yes, be nice to everybody. It'll drive them crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's something they can do. What like, now it's like this. He's being nice to me, right? I had this coworker at my former day job, and he would go, he always said, "I'm the biggest, baddest, like I could kick your ass." I just go, "Sure you can." He just looked at me. He's like, "Oh," because he's just like, he wanted it, but he just knows just the way I said it. Just like, "Yeah, sure." It's like, "Oh, fuck you." It's like, what could he say? I went with him, but I said it in such a way they knew that I thought he was full of shit. But it's like, "Yeah, sure you can. I can wreck you." "Oh, sure." Just
yeah, sure.
Sure. No, I just very, very straight one word answer. Sure. Okay. Right? Because because I'm giving it to him, not because I agree or disagree. I just don't care. It's like, okay, what you got?
Yeah.
And then he was like, ah. But I was also really nice to him. So then when I was really nice to him, he'd get this look on his face of, I was aggressive and this, and he's nice, and he gave me candy, and I don't know what to do now. Like, it's beautiful how to be it's beautiful how to put this, a small bunch of kindness can actually, yes, it can be incredible to people. But truthfully, it's just the meanest thing you can do to people sometimes too, because it's completely disarming. There's nothing. The person that responds to kindness with violence is always in the wrong. Always. It doesn't matter, and they know it. So they cross that line. It's just like, if I cross this, I'm the douchebag, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's what's happening.
Yes.
Right.
And they. Yes.
Sure, that's human psychology is an amazing thing once you understand it.
Oh, it's definitely fun. Hell, that's normally how I do, design characters. It's almost to the point of, okay, I've gotten what their grandparents did. I know what their parents did. All right, now let me design them. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay, they've grown up in these 3 generations of X, Y, or Z, and now it's how they grow up. Wind them up, drop them into situation, and let them run wild.
See, you know what I hate? What I realized I realized this when I was like 28 years old, where you become your parents just a little bit, and you know it. You just know it, and you look at yourself and you go, "Why? What happened? How did this happen?" And then you understand your parents in a profoundly different way than you ever thought you would. And you're like, I get why you did this shit. Right? Oh my God, I get it. It's still dumb as fuck, but I get it. I understand what happened, how you got here. And I don't know whether I should laugh about it or cry or maybe both.
Laugh and move on.
Yes. And then try to realize how you can do it better. Recognizing the fact that you're always on some level going to be your parents, just a little bit, right? And if that doesn't give my listeners here a little bit of a nightmare, I'm sorry, it's the truth. You got both your parents in you, good and bad. So you got to be aware of them. This is why I do say I can be an asshole, because I know where that comes from on both sides of my family. So it's like, why do I have this evil, sadistic sense of humor about getting even with people? I know where I get that from. And it's like, why can't I just tell you to go fuck yourself? I know where I get that from too. It's like, okay, I am the product of my parents. So you right. Hopefully I'm better. I hope. That's all one can do, right? Is hope. So yeah. So I'm gonna ask this, and we've had a fun conversation about characters in our head and pathetic, and both our political situations currently suck right now.
Oh yeah.
Right. My condolences to you. Yeah. But I mean the answer is my question is, you said you started at 16. I always ask this, what was the book that made you think I want to do this?
Book I read or book I wrote?
Well, no. Well, I'm assuming a book you read led to you writing.
Actually, what led to me writing was going through. There was a TV show called Babylon 5. I don't know if you remember it.
I love that show. It's awesome.
Okay. I basically fell into a lot of J. Michael Straczynski's writings on writing. It's like, okay, this sounds like fun. I'm going to do one short story. Just one short story. 6 400-page books later, it's like, okay, I think I want to do this for a living, in part because I had kind of rewired my brain to the point where ideas would not shut up until I wrote them down. So I have a little notebook next to the bed so I can write down the ideas so I can get to sleep, because for the love of God, just stop, because the ideas just kept running through the brain over and over again until it's, okay, I've written them down. Can I go to sleep now? Yes. Sud. But yeah, it took 15 months to write all of that.
Oh, wow.
And
That's impressive.
Yes, and I had screwed up because I say 400-page books.
Yep.
These were not what you know of as, it was not industry standard pages because they were all single-spaced.
Oh.
Yeah, and they weren't full-inch margins. They were half-inch margins because that was the default setting on Windows 95.
Wow.
So, I believe I want to say it was Orson Scott Card who has said that the first million words are practice. I accidentally got that. It's like, okay. So this was fun. Let's do it again. Now, granted, I went back, read through them, and it's like, well, this is terrible.
Yeah. Oh no, that's part of it, right? So my practice book, really cool concept, a virus that made everybody immortal at the price of killing every kid under the age of 6 years old.
All
right, cool idea. So what would life look like, right? This was me, younger me, being a pretentious fuck, not knowing anything about writing. I decided that I would write the stories from multiple points of character views a la George R.R. Martin to a set word count. It didn't. It's a broken book. To say the least, it's a completely broken book. We all make... Your mistake was a lot more innocent than mine. I learned a lot about what not to do doing that novel, like very much, right? It wasn't my first book. My first book was a time travel novel I wrote during my high school days, right? But that book, although it definitely, when I read that now, I was a cocky fuck in high school. Blunt, but I was a cocky fuck, right? But again, that one, the first one, was me learning the craft, trying some things, making it really cool. The second book was, I was a pretentious fuck, and I got it's hard. It's so hard to write that kind of book. It is super, super hard. And now I'm reading, I'm doing comic-esque novellas and poetry now. So that's kind of where I've ended up in the spectrum. So
yeah, well, yes, every time I've tried, I don't know, I bore easy. Every time I've come close, every time the story becomes close to being pretentious, usually in my outline, it's like, I really wanted to do this. I'm bored. I'm putting in a gunfight here. Because, good God, it's like the book slows down. I'm slowing down. I'm about to fall asleep writing this book. The readers are going to throw out this book. Screw it. Gunfight. Car bomb. 90% of my writing has been seat of the pants.
Yep.
And I did about a dozen books outlined. First outline, I threw out about half of it
Oh yeah.
because it's like first time it's like, we're going to do all this shoe leather, all this procedural stuff. No, car bomb. It's like it's getting slow, gunfight. I think it's Raymond Chandler who said, "When the plot's getting slow, send in somebody through the door with a gun."
Yeah, it's not a bad strategy. I mean, as someone who has been in a situation where you've seen that, like anyone that's been there will tell you, someone walks in with a gun and it's out, you are very aware of it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Although it's since I've also done fantasy and sci-fi, it's like, okay, there's plasma grenade and there's fireball or magic missile.
It works either way. Look, I mean, on a personal note too, if you're bored with the plot, right, the reader will be bored with the plot too. That's just the way it is. This is what I've learned. If I can laugh at my own jokes, right, either means two things: my readers will like it, or I'm delusional. I am okay with either result. If I am laughing, or crying, or angry, or upset, or sad, right, in some way, so will my reader, right? They'll connect to it on some level, or I'm just completely on it. Again, I've made my peace with that. I can only go by my instincts on that. All right, you gotta be confident enough as an author to go with your instincts.
Oh, yes.
Doesn't mean that a plot isn't useful, mind you, but I also do the same thing. Sometimes I'll just take my plot and go, rip. We're not going here.
Yes, and you need to have the fortitude to reread your own stuff.
Yes.
Especially after a time delay. I'm not sure about you. I tend to find somewhere between 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on what point in the writing I've been at, where it's you put it aside, you work on something else, you come back to it, and you try not to spike all of it. It's like, this isn't what I wanted. Here, this is what I wanted.
So so for me, it's sometimes I'll go in. I think 6 months is too long, and the reason why I say that is because I've written other things, right? So I'm not in that same voice anymore. If that makes
perfect sense.
Yeah, right. So now, if I'm on deadline, I read it. I do take like at least a week or two off if I'm on deadline. If I'm not, I'll go a month, right? Because I'm still thinking like that at least, right? If I go 6 months with the book, I might go, what the fuck did I write? In like the worst possible way, right? Right? I would rather at that point be on something new.
Okay.
Like I'd rather, yeah. I hope that makes sense for you.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, granted, recently I've been on one series for 13 books, 12 books, and that's only been over the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I've basically been in that voice so bloody long. I have 3 books ahead. I can go back, but I've gotten to the point where my publisher has said, feel free to take a break. Relax every so often, because I accident. In 2020 I had nothing to do. Yeah.
You broke your editor and your publisher, didn't you?
Just a little. I did 2 books before I left for Italy in March of 2020, which is a different conversation. 2 books then. Then it was, I did about 6 books in 2020. So, after that they said, feel free to slow down. But I wound up going back to do edits because, certain things had slowed down, especially at the printer, which is in California. So
I'm sorry.
Well, So things slowed down a little bit there. So I had the opportunity to circle back and just edit through those again. So, well, some of them, but it's been interesting. So, and now I'm at the point where I've got 4 books to go with this publisher. I'm writing another 5 books to self-publish, and a second publisher wants more of my current sci-fi space opera. So it's interesting playing all the bingo cards.
Well, see, you, my friend, have become more you did what a lot of authors didn't do, which was you became more prolific. I became more prolific with my podcast. When the pandemic began, I was at episode 350. And if you look at where I'm at now, I've done a lot of these shows, right? Right? I've done a lot. Now, and it's evolved quite a bit too. I've had authors come on to read my books when the pandemic started, because I am a big C.S. Lewis guy. And C.S. Lewis reading during World War II, I thought was a really cool idea. And since I already had a podcast ready to do it, I did it before anybody else because I was smart and stuff, right? And so I was able to do 2 books. I was able to do my science fiction release, and I also read Alice in Wonderland on the air. Alice in Wonderland is surprisingly fun to read on the air, I gotta say. But by that time, I also, just because with the way the show had evolved, I didn't have room for the reading anymore because I'm booked right now. Yeah, I booked shows into October already, which is like scary when you think about that. My March dance card isn't full yet. That's gonna happen this week. I'm gonna fill my March dance card. But yeah, like the fact that I don't have time for a reading show anymore, do any readings, but it makes the show's evolved. But it's one of those things, like, a lot of us took the opportunity this pandemic offered to become more prolific at all our different skills. And my writing wise, I released 2 books. Actually, I've released 3 books since the pandemic had begun. And I'm hoping to have a 4th and a 5th release before the year's up. Nice. So now I'm not you. Like, we're not worthy. We're not worthy, right? But at the same time, like, this is what happens. We had a lot more time when the pandemic started than a lot of us ever had before. So it was just that opportunity. It's like, wow, what am I going to do that I give a fuck about? And that's what you did. You wrote books, and you broke your publisher. I'm actually proud of you for that. Like, you broke him.
Thank you.
Yes. That should be in your author bio, by the way. Declan Finn, breaker of publisher. I'm sure your publisher would be okay with that, by the way. Can I say I broke you with the number of books I gave you all at once? To be like, will that make you not give me more books anytime soon? It's like, yes. If you let me have this, like, for the next release, for all those releases, he'll be like, okay, yes.
Yeah.
With tears in his eye, or her eyes.
Yeah, it's actually both. They're a married couple. But no, actually, for a while, the running gag at the publisher, Silver Empire, was, a measure of word count per day was referred to as a Declan. So it's like, okay, you know that word count per day is variable between 3 and 10,000 words, right? 10,000 words if I'm really bored out of my mind. Like, I'm just going to push through now and forget to eat. I can afford a few meals.
That I'm not a fan of, Mr. Declan. You should remember eating and drinking. Possibly a shower once in a while, taking a walk. Those are good things. I'm not saying.
My wife insists on that.
Yeah. I feel like your wife would probably be like, Declan, eat. Well, like, but I don't want to. Then she just intimidates you. Eat. You're like, yes, ma'am. Don't.
Yeah. Well, my wife is one of the reasons why I only write from 9 to 5 instead of from wake up until I go down. Because she wanted to see me every so often. And another really good reason is, after a while, I don't know if you've done write until you fall asleep sessions.
Yes, I have.
Okay. How many times the next morning have you read the last few lines and went, what did I mean to say?
Oh, no. Sometimes it depends on how okay, so back in my younger days, I had 2 jobs. So it was a couple days a week. So I would go from 3 in the afternoon till 7 in the morning. right? Working. I gave myself 15 minutes to write during those times. Now, as you can imagine, I was really tired some of those. Again, it's more the habit, keeping your habit sharp, right? Because you can do a lot in just 15 minutes. Actually, you truly can, right? If you're willing. But every once in a while, I'd wake up and look at the page I wrote and wondered how I was going, right? I usually do this on the weekend. So I would do that Saturday, Sunday night. Sunday night, when I was finished, I would pass out for like 10 hours. You just, as one does when you do that to yourself. All right. And when you wake up, you go back to what you wrote on Saturday. Sometimes it was great. Sometimes it's great. But sometimes I'm like, I think I wrote a gibberish story. I think it was completely, totally gibberish. Rip. Do it again. Yeah, no, it happens. There's a point when the brain says, no mas. Younger you will go, I can do this. Brain's like, no, you can't. And then older you realizes, no. I'm going to listen to you, brain. Okay, you win this fight. But tomorrow you better be there, or I will intimidate you fear like I did, like Homer Simpson used to do. And we come to an understanding. Right?
Yeah. Hey, I remember one, again, actually the book that's currently coming out, White Ops, is one I had written. It's the first one I had written. And again, 16, stupid. And I had done a 36-hour writing session with one of the parts of the novel. And one of the more painful things is to realize, maybe 10 years ago, probably 15, I'm looking at it going, this is nice and all, but it's stupid and it all has to be spiked. I literally just killed all 40 pages and it's like, ouch. Well, that's a day and a half of my life, literally.
Yeah. No, because okay, so first off, it's not a complete waste. So let's give 16 yourself credit. Let's give yourself a little credit. That was the best you could do at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't be who you are without that 36-hour session and other things. You wouldn't be Declan wouldn't be a verb without that 16-year-old. So you gotta give him props just for that alone.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, what it comes down to is you're gonna do stuff like this when you get started too. You're just going to, like, again, I made a whole novel like taking like a George R.R. Martin concept and realizing why that's so fucking hard to do, right? So hard, in fact, I still won't try it today. Right, I not because I don't think I can do it, because I recognize how many pieces that, again, I'm a lazy fuck. I will totally admit this. I would rather tell a story with a couple of perspectives, back and forth. That's it. Go with it. Have some fun with it. Right. I can plow through a novel in 6 weeks. If I'm dedicated at it, I can plow through one in 6 weeks. Now, is it good? That's a matter of perspective, but
True.
but the fact is, I can, again, consistently writing, like having that consistent practice. How fast you can go. Now, is it the best you can do? Maybe not. It's not right. But that's not really the point. It's the habits and discipline you develop as a youngster that are great, and that's what I remember. Like, younger me, I can still look at some of his writing and think it's cool. A lot of it, not so much, but there's a few points here and there, and I wouldn't be who I was as a creative without him. So I will always give him props and pop. Sometimes I'll be like, like you had it, like you were so brave to do this, right? You were so brave to do this. I will give you props for trying. I'm sad that it didn't work but I mean,
well, look at the bright side. Yes, you can absolutely that George R.R. Martin's books are hard to pull off, especially since he hasn't even tried to pull off one of his Game of Thrones books for a decade now.
Yep. I've given up on that series.
Most people I know, there is one person I know who has access to, what's it called, BookScan. where they basically track sales, and you can track sales of other people as well. And he noticed the exact moment where you can see where everybody gave up on George R.R. Martin, and it was May of 2019. It's like, gee, I wonder why. I can't imagine. And I didn't even know. I did not follow Game of Thrones. I've never had HBO, never bought the disc sets, but I could follow it because people wouldn't shut up and there were a ton of memes. And trust me, the day the final dropped, I could tell what happened for the next week because people wouldn't shut up about it. It was interesting.
Yeah, see, like, the television was the best and worst thing that could have happened to him. It was the best thing because he's set for the rest of his life. Regardless of what anybody here thinks about the finale, and we all understand, all of us, the fact of the matter is the show was incredibly successful. I would say for 5 seasons, it was probably some of the best stuff on television. Right? The 6th season, okay, you can make the argument it kind of again faded, and the last season we're not even going to debate with you. It jumped the shark, and it jumped into a volcano with a bunch of lava sharks just because it was that, like, it was bad. It was not good. So now was why it's the worst thing. Here's the other thing it did, unfortunately. Now are you into manga at all?
I know bits of it.
Okay, so I'm going to compare another show, an anime actually, Full Metal Alchemist. Okay. So the same thing happened to the creative there. She got a deal with a company in Japan, and it produced an amazing show. There's a little bit, don't the differences between Japanese television and American television.
Yes.
They got to the point where they got to where her material ended, and they had to continue, and they had to continue the story. Now, what they did went in a completely different direction than what she went to. But it was still incredibly respectful to the characters. You never felt like a character broke any of their conscience, right? Like it didn't go like it didn't.
They did not break character.
No, they were true to the characters. Now the story is very different. Like I'm gonna be like if you watch the first Full Metal Alchemist show, the second one, Brotherhood, is completely based. It's the full story, start to finish, of the manga. It's completely faithful to it, and it's fun. So that you can see where the shows diverge. But I don't feel like the first Full Metal Alchemist show is a waste of my time. I don't feel the manga is a waste of my time. I do not feel this, and I certainly don't feel the second show is a waste of my time either. It's more along the lines of the fact that it's about being faithful to the characters. The problem was people liked Daenerys. Right? Yeah. She's actually one of my favorite characters, and they completely massacred her.
Yeah.
And when you break the faith of the characters, you can break expectations, but you have to do it in a way that's faithful to the characters that you're telling. It did not do that. So now, here's George. Here's the show, and it's how you leave them, folks. It's how you leave them. Your show blue.
Oh, definitely.
Hey, and you gotta now you can fix it, but you have to write those books. And what's his incentive to do it, though?
Bupkis.
Yeah. So I'll read Fond du Lis. Fond du Lis is good. Brandon Sanderson's good.
Oh yeah.
I know. Now, Branderson may not finish his big Uber series because it's going to take him about 30 years to write the damn thing. But here's the thing. I'm not going to, I just know this deep down on the inside. I'm not going to feel slighted, and I'm okay waiting 3 years for a good book. I can do that. I will do that. If you tell me that your book is your awesome series is going to come out, your super awesome books, and I get to read them. Oh shit, I'm in. I'm in.
Amen.
Yeah, that's it. People will wait, especially like the one I'm really curious about right now is Pat Rothfuss.
Okay.
Because he's supposed to have one more book come out, and like the first one's really good. The second one's okay. It's good, but I've waited a very long time for it. Right? So it's like, what will the payoff feel like? You know what I mean? Like, is the payoff gonna be worth this wait? And it's kind of like, because he's the other really big author that hasn't finished his series yet. I get the feeling he will, but will it be worth all the wait I've done? I don't know.
Well, Brandon Sanderson can't finish everybody's books for them.
No, no, he can't.
You know?
And I don't. And well, I'm sure he didn't mind. He was honored to finish Robert Jordan's. I'm pretty certain he never wants to do that again.
Oh, I can't imagine he would. But and let's face it, at least with Robert Jordan, he had a perfectly good excuse for not finishing his books. He died.
Yeah, he was sick. He was clinically ill. That like, and the fact is, but even so, there are little pieces of the last 3 books that are written by him. What he could do is in there. That's it. What he could do is in there. Brandon did all the rest. I don't feel again. An author dying is not gonna hold. It's not gonna hold me. Make me feel terrible. What's gonna make me feel terrible is if whoever comes in to finish those books
breaks them,
isn't faithful to the books. That's what I worry about. That's all I worry about. After reading the Mistborn saga, I read Mistborn right before Wheel of Time. It's like, he's going to do a good job. It's not going to be quite the same, but he's going to do a good job.
Oh, yeah.
And he did.
Yeah. Hey, it's one of the reasons why I'm very grateful Jim Butcher is in great shape.
Yes.
You know, between the martial arts and the weightlifting, you know, nothing's going to kill him short of a truck. So it's like he's going to finish Harry Dresden and anything else he bloody well likes.
Do you know my favorite thing of his is the Codex Alara series?
That's awesome.
No, that series is really good. And I love it because it's Dresden for all its... I'm not saying anything bad about Dresden. Just on a personal note, it's gone a long time. It's almost like it's 3 different series at this point because of the different phases of Dresden's career. Yeah. Sometimes you just want something simple. That's why I love Codex Alara. It's simple. You get it. It's entertaining. It's damn good. Like my favorite one is when he finally comes out and admits who his father was. That's my favorite book in the whole series. It's fantastic, right? But it's also real. It's again, you get the pieces of how that developed, and it was such a satisfying payoff. The last 2 books are good, but for me, book 4 is my favorite of that series. It's everything. Book 4 and book 2. I enjoyed his him and his significant other developing their relationship. They had a really the other thing Jim Butcher does a really good job of. He did a really good job of making them feel equal. Even though Tabby was the main focus. Even though Tabby was the main focus of the series, I think Katai. I'm hoping I got her name right. Katai. Katai was such an intriguing character in her own right. She wasn't the main focus. However, right?
She was awesome.
Oh God, yeah, she was a badass. She was fun.
Although I was particularly amused when his nerditry was showing when book 2 he's following the Black Cat, a thief, and it's like, gee, you find the Black Cat and it's a 6-foot green-eyed, platinum-haired blonde. It's like, Jim, were you mainlining Marvel at the time?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And listen, you know what he'd tell you? Sue me.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, heck, did you read his Spider-Man novel?
No, I have not, but I imagine his would be great. Like,
it was.
He would be a fantastic Spider-Man writer.
You saw it. Well, did you? The only thing you would have to know is the first volume, the first initial 6 or 7 issues of J. Michael Straczynski's run on Spider-Man.
Yep. No,
yeah.
Okay. If you want to talk about, again, we're going to talk about other runs that had fantastic beginnings, and
yeah,
I'm sorry, brother, he has one more day on his resume. He just does, and it wasn't his call, but he did it.
Yeah. Hey, at least with Run More Day, I can at least understand it with, these are notes from above, these are what you have to do, and it's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, and then I'm going to leave. Bye. Who needs you? But no, you read his Moreland run.
But no, it's
Moreland
more
was the
than
bad guy.
fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jim Butcher did a novel where it's basically, and this is the rest of Moreland's family.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yes.
I enjoyed my favorite Spider-Man of all time actually was from JMS's run. Happy Birthday. I thought that was the coolest Spider-Man story I'd read in a long time because it showed how far Peter had come. I thought that was one of the coolest things about it was and the ending. I'm going to spoil this for people.
Heartbreaking, yes.
Yeah. No, the whole concept was Spider-Man was re-experiencing all his failures all over again, and it gets to the point where he nearly breaks because it's there, but to save everybody, Peter Parker had to make a choice. You have to live through every single failure again, up to the present day, and if you do this, you'll save everybody. So he does. Every single moment he failed, he personally holds to his heart that he absolutely unequivocally fails. He experiences to get back to the present day and save the day. As a thank you, though, and this is one of the coolest things, he was allowed 5 minutes with Uncle Ben. 5 minutes. Right before Ben dies. 5 minutes. And the best thing about that story was like Spider goes, I am like heartbroken because this is his biggest failure of all. But then Uncle Ben asked him really simple questions like, there's only one thing I really care about, man. Are you happy? And you look at everything he'd gone through and he realized, yeah, I am. It's my favorite Spider-Man story. It is easily my favorite Spider-Man story because it's such an understanding of Peter Parker the man. And I think one of the cool things about that story is it shows you how your failures. And we've talked a little bit about our own on this podcast. 36 hours, dude. My respect. I'm seriously, my respect on that. You know, but how our failures make us who we are, and that I think is an amazing thing. And you can be happy, and sometimes your failures lead to your best successes. That's the other thing about this crazy world is my big fuck. Listen, you have a Declan. Like when I do an episode write up for this episode, we're going to talk what the Declan actually is. And that has to at least somewhat be owed to your 36-hour jaunt writing.
Okay, you've kind of frozen on my end.
Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, did you hear the last part of what I said there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, there we are. Okay, so you're definitely a comic guy, and you're a JMS guy. So I'll tell you what my favorite JMS story is of all time. Midnight Nation.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
It is in my top 5 all-time best limited series.
Oh, it'd have to be.
Yeah, it's top 5. It's top 5. There are a few others. There are a few others in that category. But Midnight Nation is beautiful. It is the best thing I think he's ever written in comics. I'm just being very blunt with you. As much as a Spider-Man.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it did have a bit of a message. Mostly it's hope. But it wasn't preachy. It didn't drive you to, want to commit suicide by bashing your brains in with despair all the time. But it worked. So,
well, what I love is his version of the devil was that preachy asshole. We're going full circle here. He was that preachy asshole. He was that super preachy, bitter asshole. Right? Yeah. And I think the real part, I think the beautiful part about that story, like I said, is he beat him without saying a word.
Yeah.
The actions spoke louder than the devil's words. And the devil goes, well, I didn't see that coming. I was like, that was good. That was
Especially when you consider how much of JMS's career seems to be a monologue every 6 episodes or comic books. It's like, yes, I love listening to Mira Furlan. It's a good thing because she's got 5 minutes soliloquies.
well, not just her. Franklin was
Oh.
also notorious for that.
Oh,
Those as well.
And I want to say Sheridan, Bruce Boxleitner.
Yeah, Bruce Boxleitner, Sheridan. Also, Londo sometimes got some too, and so did
Everybody
Jakar.
got at least one speech on that show.
Actually, I would argue it's Garibaldi. Didn't really. Garibaldi was a very different. He was different because he goes. The closest thing he got was, ask me if I believe in God.
I would actually say that his biggest speech moment was, when he was leaving Babylon 5 in the last season, where he had 1 or 2 minutes of solid dialogue that was just him, and he didn't do, how do I put this? He didn't do Garibaldi. He wasn't Jerry Doyle turned up to 11.
Oh, there was a lot of Jerry Doyle in Garibaldi. You could tell. Like
Oh, yeah.
a lot of Jerry Doyle's in Garibaldi, and
Oh, yeah.
I think so my favorite scene with him, it's always going to be is in season 1 with Talia Winters, right? He goes where she hits him, she can read his mind about what he's checking her out, and to all due respect, the actress who played Talia, it was hot. I can't blame him, right? And then all of a sudden, she just gives him this hard elbow, right? And he's like, oh, right? And then at the end, then as he's leaving, he goes, I think I'm in love. The truth was, he was in love.
Yep.
Right? He was in love.
They
They actually get married for a very brief, crazy
About 2
period of
years,
time.
I think.
Yeah. They tried. So I mean, there was something they did make a connection on that show. It didn't work out, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, right? So, now I'm gonna lay a confession to you. Deep Space Nine is still my favorite of the 2 shows.
Okay.
But it's like 1 and 1A. Like, take whatever side on that spectrum you're on, you have a good show. You really do. I'm never gonna say that one. The 5th season was the weakest season.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that first quarter of it was the weakest part. It was the weakest part of the show.
Yeah.
In the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
But
no one disagrees.
Yeah.
But
that show is super, like, the ending, again, that's how you leave them. Well, last episode is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen on television.
It is. It really is.
It is. But anyway.
Yes, I wonder how many people in the audience are going, what the bleep are they talking about?
I don't care. It's like, I don't. Listen, I am deliberately uncool, Declan. I'm good with that. I am super, super good at that. Right? So, right. And, okay, I'm going to ask this then. Not what you've written. What's your favorite book of all time? Fiction that you like?
Ooh. It's like, so which genre? No, I actually do have them broken down by genre. With thrillers, it's a book called Vertical Run by Joseph Garber.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it. Yeah.
Okay. Loved his books. They were all great. May he rest in peace. It's like, damn it, he writes 3 books, then dies. But, so thrillers is Vertical Run. Fantasy, since I can't say the entire Jim Butcher omnibus, urban fantasy is probably Princess of Wands by Jim Butcher. Not Jim Butcher. What am I saying? John Ringo. Princess of Wands by John Ringo.
He's underrated. Like, he's actually a little underrated. He's a little, like, on his own, he's actually quite good, and not people realize it.
I'm surprised because the first book I ever read by him was Princess of Wands, which is definitely out of genre for him. It's more urban fantasy than in his science fiction epic military battles. Although I also did like his Prince Roger work with David Weber.
Mm-hmm.
Although from what I've heard, it's David Weber delivers a 20,000 word outline, hands it off to John Ringo, goes and writes 3 more Honor Harrington novels.
Yeah.
But with science fiction, science fiction is hard because there's the Prince Roger, which I just mentioned, Ringo Weber. But more importantly, there's Timothy Zahn.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So his regular stuff or his Star Wars stuff?
Almost anything he does. I'll just say Heir to the Empire.
Okay,
because that was the first thing I ever read by him. And both Ringo Weber and Zahn are probably my biggest writing influence is not named Straczynski. And with Timothy Zahn, this is how characters think their way out of problems even when people are shooting at them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of people who get shot at a lot of the time.
So it's kind of, so there's the dry approach where it doesn't quite cross that they're cool and they're noticing that they're shot. Then there's the Peter Parker, oh shit, I'm panicking, let's tell bad jokes. Then there's just plain panic and you need new underwear. Then there's like everybody's a little different about that one, and it's always interesting to write those. My personal favorite is the panic need new underwear. They're the funnest ones to write, but also, if we're being really pragmatic here, they're usually the first ones to die, almost always, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, for being pragmatic here. Me, I'll just return the favor. Rogers of Zelazny's Nine Princes in Amber.
Nice.
It's a fantastic book.
Oh yeah.
Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. Also fun book, fun stuff. Right. And I have in my as I'm getting older, I'm loving Michael Moorcock more and more.
Okay.
It's weird because his stuff is older, but it's simpler too. Hawkmoon, I have a real soft spot for Hawkmoon. I think Jewel and the Skull, Mad God's Amulet. I love that evil empire. I don't know why. I just love that. That particular iteration of the bad guys was super fun for me to just read. I really wanted Hawkmoon to overcome them. I think that's the thing. I get it. We don't need super big resolutions in any of our in our stories. We just need those personal triumphs.
Oh yeah.
Or those failures. Right, depending on what you want to get to, because even in a failure, you can make a character heroic, right? But I think you can do it. Like I said, it's how you connect with people, right? People understand success and failure. And genuinely making them happy with a payoff might be the hardest thing to do in all of fiction. When it's done, it's brilliant. But when it's done well, it's the best feeling you can get reading it. Short of that, I try to make them laugh. Terry Pratchett's also another really good one. If you can't do that well, at least make them laugh.
Pratchett, yeah. Another one I miss. It's like, damn it, everybody, all the fun people seem to be dying lately. I know he died a few years ago, but it still feels like lately.
No, it's no. I that's the saddest Twitter post I ever read. Like literally, I didn't at first. It was whimsical. Like you realize it was whimsical. Right, it was actually because again, it's his take on death. His version of death is my all-time favorite iteration to death. Everybody who has ever read a Discworld book will pop when you hear that. But when it took Pratchett and you realize that's the last tweet, like it hits you, and then it's super sad because you're never going to hear that voice again. You're never going to hear death the same way ever again. And it's just like, oh my God. But at the same time, I'm happy I had that. I'm happy I read The Truth. I'm happy I read more. I'm happy I read Reaper Man. I'm happy I read Men at Arms. The Night Watch is hilarious in there, right?
Although I'm not exactly sure what to do with Moist von Lipwig. With going postal, making money, and raising steam. I think raising steam was the last one he ever did.
Yeah. But again, going back to we're talking about authors not finishing works.
Yeah.
You kind of can't blame that one either.
Oh, no. I'm not even sure.
That was coming. I
don't know. I would actually look at the end of Raising Steam and it's like, you know what? I'm happy with this ending right here. You know? But then again, he didn't do a whole hell of a lot in terms of, long game stories, unless the series was going to end with, Lord Vetinari fakes his own death and has Vimes, the head of the Unseen Academy, and Moist von Lipwig take over his job. Which is like, that would probably be the only way I could see any of it just coming to a conclusive end. But otherwise,
Discworld was never meant to come to a conclusive end, right? That's the thing. It never was designed to be. It was just, again, Terry Pratchett, like I said, I mentioned Michael Moorcock, Terry Pratchett, Roger Zelazny. What they all have in common is they would tell these wonderfully profound, okay, in Pratchett's case, funny, right? In the other case, adventurous, profound stories, and they would do it within 200 to 300 pages. They would get you in, get a great story. Was Zelazny, you are like, for me personally, was Zelazny. The amount of depth he put into those 200, 300 words, many authors today still can't match that. It's just he put so much density in his work. It's like, how did you do that? Right? Moorcock's just fun. I'm going to acknowledge it. Like, it's like, maybe it's just because I've gotten older and sillier, but Moorcock is just absurd fun. It's all it is. I am good with it. I do not like. Do you want? Are there technically better writers out there? Absolutely. I'm not even going to make that argument. I don't give a fuck. It's fun for me. Leave me alone. I'm gonna play in my little sandbox. But same thing. He'd come in and he would tell these intricate little stories shortly. And Pratchett did the same thing. Pratchett, though, might be the best of the three because I still remember this. I talked about this on the show in the past. Remember Eric? The story Eric?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, so now I don't normally blame you. Rincewind. Okay, the only character I really don't like in Discworld overall is Rincewind. The reason being, he's a one joke. He's a one joke. Is. Yeah, and again, when he started this, it's totally acceptable. Like the Color of Magic, Light Fantastic are totally fine. Great introductions, but you could tell after he did another Rincewind story, it's like I don't really have him anywhere else to go with the character because there's nowhere else to go with the character. He's a one-trick pony. But for my money, Eric's the best Rincewind story, and here's why. The whole story goes like this: you have this prodigy sorcerer like Eric, and the story goes like this. They talk about this hero coming in to save the day from this evil dragon. Well, about halfway through the book, the dragon beats the so-called hero of the story. And this was the part that got me, and it has always got me ever since. This is the first time I realized how brilliant Terry Pratchett was. So the dragon started requiring families to start making offerings of families and friends. And people were starting to do it. And the reason was, and he explained it in the book so eloquently, it was chilling in its simplicity. When people are afraid, they will do anything to get that feeling of safety, including hurting or killing other people. Because that feeling of safety is so strong, right? That feeling of safety is so strong. And this was written back in like 1990, I want to say 93, maybe? Right? Anyone listening to this, if there are certain parallels to today, yes, there are. But the thing about that, I realized this was me in my early 20s reading this book. This is so in the early 2000s. It's like this dude might be one of the most brilliant writers I've ever read because the story's funny for the most part, but then all of a sudden, boom, chilling. That chilling moment, and you realize this is the truth.
Yeah.
He used comedy to instill real important life lessons. And he doesn't do this in all of his stuff, but when he does, it's powerful and profound.
Oh, I would argue he does it in almost all of his books. The one I remember being hit hardest by the first time, because most of the books he'll whack you between the eyes of the 2x4 with clay feet or feet of clay.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, where they had two solid moments where it stopped being either funny or a fantasy action book, because it all dealt with golems. And the first bit was, so how do we deal with this golem that isn't cooperating with us? And the solution was, if you know how a golem works, it's, in this case, it was stick a piece of paper with instructions into where the brain goes in this person of clay. And in the case of okay, we need to get this golem to cooperate with us. How do we do that? And our kind of heroic figure off to the side, Carrot, just writes on a piece of paper, 2 words and stick it in, and the golem is perfectly happy to cooperate because the 2 words were simply "be free." And it's like, okay, well, that was kind of powerful. And then when you get to the point of why is a different golem gone rogue and killing people and other golems and everything else that gets in his way, they discovered that golems had made a golem and had stuffed its head full of all the expectations that the golems had. It's like, well, parents trying to give their children, their offspring, all the wants and desires they ever had. No, that's not a message. But all the contrary just drove it crazy.
Yeah, no, Joe, it couldn't live to. It just realized it couldn't live to the expectations that were being asked. So just said, "Fuck it." That's again, which is a perfectly understandable result. Like Pratchett's brilliant. Like I haven't read them all. I've read about 16 of them. So I mean, it's not like I haven't read. I've read a pretty decent sample size.
Oh yeah.
Right. He could be fun. He could be entertaining, but he could make you think. Yes. And that is what a really good comedian can do. Whatever you might think of their politics, if a comedian, if they can make you think, then they've done something really powerful and profound, right?
Bingo.
Yeah, and that's why, like you said. So me personally, that's kind of always been like in my little corner of the fictional universe. I like smaller stories for that reason. Because I think you can sneak up on people a lot more in a smaller story than you can in a bigger one, because they have the expectation. If you see a big giant epic, you do a giant epic fantasy, well, people are expecting this big giant story. Like Brandon Sanderson or Jim. Now Butcher changed the game a little bit, but even so, he still follows certain classical expectations. So in those books, you kind of know what you're going to get a little bit.
Yeah, especially now that almost every other book is now massive battle. Well,
yeah.
Did you read Battleground, right?
I haven't read. I'm behind. Again,
okay.
I made it to phase 2 of Jim Butcher's. I would call it the phase 2 where he was trying to figure out what to do with Butcher with Dresden next. So he did his initial intended arc. And it's like, okay, now what do I do? Because I felt like there was like 4 books in that run, and it's also like, hey, I figured it out. And then he's been flying ever since. I haven't gotten to he's been flying. I'm deliberate. I told you, Declan, I'm deliberately uncool. It's okay.
No, not problem. I only wanted to know just to make sure I didn't spoil anything for you.
Yeah, it's all good. But in my case, feel free. I'm not. I am reading more. Here's the thing about actually being more prolific. I don't know, maybe you noticed this, and then we'll get to the plugging of stuff. Right? I've actually gotten away from watching. Like, I don't watch TV hardly anymore. I'm so uncool because I don't even. Hey, that good show you want to see? It's like, nope, not even gonna touch it. Just nope, and nope. Right? I just don't have time. And then there's like, hey, those good books you want to read. I work at that, but I'm not as quick to get there as I once was. I'm just not there anymore.
Oh yeah,
I do play video games. I do play video. I'm not gonna lie. I do like me some video games, but it's because I need to do something with my brain that isn't that. And if I have to choose between watching a television show and playing a video game, the video game wins at this point.
You need something with your brain engaged.
Yes. Pretty much.
Oh, trust me, I have a similar problem. I actually run a review site called Upstream Reviews, and part of the problem has been trying to find the time to read all the things I need to at least put in my share of reviews per month, while at the same time keeping up my output. It's like, what am I choosing? Am I choosing reading or video games? It's probably going to be reading.
and that's and like I said, for me, this is a priority. It's video games, then reading, and then nothing else. I don't have time. I don't have time for.
Don't worry, you're not missing anything on television these
days. I know.
It's like.
No, I'm not gonna lie. There's part of me very curious to see the Wheel of Time series because again, I'm a Wheel of Time guy. But no.
My best friend, and I mean this, he was best man at my wedding, has read the Wheel of Time series 3 or 4 times. He might be on number 5 at the moment. And he looks forward to Wheel of Time coming out. I knew better because I remember that 90% of book to film or television adaptations are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I remember the 90s, and
I do too.
I just said, dude, don't even get your hopes up. And then he saw like 5 minutes of the first one, and it's like he let out a string of expletives. He went on for like 5 pages about why it's all wrong and why it's terrible, and they tried to Game of Thrones all of it, etc., etc. After a while, it's like I'm going to smile and nod and hope he doesn't flip out too badly. But everyone I know who has read this books cannot get into the series. They fail they fail through the first episode. They don't even get to the half-hour mark.
Oh wow! Well, okay, but no, like I said, I don't miss like the only like I said, I'm a manga guy. I do manga, so I will watch like Japanese anime sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I do occasionally, I have 2 volumes of Fairy Tail. I still haven't it's like one point I got like 6 episodes on the one volume. I got another volume to go. I may get caught up this year. It's possible. Yeah, right. The only other thing I watch on TV right now is AEW. That's it. And that's it. Right? 2 hours a week, I can turn my brain off. Or 3 hours a week, that's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. The rest of it, television as a medium fascinates me. Television as I see on television is boring as shit. I think there's much more creative stuff. There's much more creative stuff you go on YouTube. There really is. And
they do it on a budget, and they manage to tell a lot of story in very little time, mainly because they have to.
Yes. It's amazing what happens when you actually have to tell a story. It's actually good. Who the hell knew? Who the hell knew, right?
Yeah.
But again, that's why we're coming to the end of the pandemic. Like again, you can see it. The mandates are hanging by look at my country, right? I mean, you can tell that we're coming to the end of these. Again, you look worldwide. 12 countries have already walked away from mandates. Some with worse cases than they've ever had. So you can tell the mandates are coming to an end. What I was gonna ask, do you think with the way technology has been used in the last 2 years in terms of media, I had this really profound thought. If you want to look at what's really going on, you don't actually need the news networks anymore. You can literally go on social media. You can go through all the dumpster fire stuff. If you can sort of go through it all, you can actually find what's going on in real time faster.
Oh yeah.
Than you ever could listening to a news thing, and it's amazing, right? What you find. That's why I mentioned the bouncy castle thing earlier, because that's where I found it. You could literally you could watch the whole protest pretty much live if you wanted to, and so what I learned is I can get my information now faster on my own than I can through a media outlet, and quicker. It's not even it's so fast. It's not even. So I look at that. I look at the fact that I'm barely watching television. I know there's some people that still binge stream, but I don't think you need a TV screen for that anymore either. You can just go on your right. So if you're looking at all of these things, I feel that the next major upheaval might be media. What do you think on that?
Oh no, it has to be.
Yeah.
You've got multiple. Where do you start? You've got multiple things going on with Amazon right now, starting with how they are trying to mess with certain people. If you're not a traditionally published author, they are trying to kick you down a few ranks, literally ranks in their Amazon ranking system. And so congratulations, Amazon, you're going to drive people elsewhere. You're going to drive people into, quote, going wide. self-publishing, not through Amazon directly, but sell some through Amazon and then try to sell through other places. You've got the streaming services where, I'm sorry, you've got Netflix could be Netflix because it had no competition.
Mm-hmm.
When Netflix started out and became this big thing on streaming, I'm not talking about when they were, mailing you DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
They could be big as a streaming service because what competition? You had Hulu, and nobody was making products straight to streaming then. Then Netflix did it, and now you've got Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus. If anybody's actually watching that, most of the people I know who have Disney Plus got it as part of an ESPN bundle. So every time Disney says Disney Plus has 100 million members worldwide, it's like, yeah. And how many of them just wanted ESPN? So you've got all these streaming services. So the competition there is going to be a pain in the butt. I'm trying to remember, because Netflix dropped an absurd amount of money about a week ago in stock price. So you've got a whole lot of media that has to change. And if it doesn't change, they've got problems. And I'm not sure how well they're going to adapt. Hell, just look at publishing. It's very, I know best. Traditional publishing is out of Manhattan. And the problem there is, why?
Mm-hmm.
Current technology is, you've got publish on demand technology. Every unit or book you generate can be $5. You don't need Manhattan to publish ebooks. You don't need anywhere really to publish ebooks. But, oh look, you've got traditional publishing stuck in Manhattan, which has the highest tax rates, the highest rental rates, the highest real estate rates. Congratulations, guys. You've got overhead that's worth more than your product in some cases. That's why you've got a lot of people where the only authors they will push are the people where they can sell at bulk rates, like Costco, for instance. Costco, maybe Walmart. I don't really see Walmart stacks about yay high. But then again, I haven't been in one in a while, so that could have changed. So, yeah, media at large, pick a medium, is going to have to go through some kind of shift soon, even if even if it's just a matter of we have to they have to find media that stops preaching at us. Because, good Lord, every time I turn on a television show these days, it's like somebody has a message for me. And it's not a well done Terry Pratchett message. It's, I'm going to beat you over the head with it from the first minute until the last minute, at which point, by the 5th minute, I'm done. So.
Yeah, no, I should just go publishing. Here's the thing. I don't know what to tell an author about traditional publishing anymore. And here's why. First off, not every genre traditional publishing is the best choice for anymore. If you're a romance author, you don't want anything to do with traditional publishing at this point in time. You want nothing to do with them because they are too slow. This is the other major problem traditional publishing has. So what I'm planning on doing, we haven't even talked about crowdfunding, which is as viable a publishing option as indie or traditional publishing, right? So, for example, I have an Alice in Wonderland epic poetry series. I wrote the first book with a board game in mind. I accidentally invented a board game doing this series. It's kind of one of those really cool little moments, right?
It happens.
It happens, right? How do I approach a traditional publisher about that? I can't. There's no way for me to do that. So now I should also point out there are certain niche traditional publishers that are incredible and amazing. And I feel they have definitely, depending on your genre, depending on what you want to do, there are definitely some viable options there. Then there's another crowdfunding platform like Unbound in England.
Okay.
Right? great platform, can do all kinds of things, right? We haven't talked about NFTs yet. I know there's some ups and some downs with that.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And that's another episode of this podcast at some point down the road. But the point is, I have so many options that really the question I put to authors is this: what serves you best?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where you go. It's no longer, do I go traditional? Do I go indie? Do I go crowdfund? Do I go like niche? Do I go like, you have so many options now that it's like, okay, what do you want to do with your book? Like, who do you want to read your book? Because there's different audiences now for all of these options. Crowdfunding, you're probably not going to ever be nominated for a Nebula or a Hugo or any other major awards in publishing. But you might have an audience that's giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for one product. That doesn't happen overnight, but there are people who do that on a regular basis on Kickstarter. So there you go, right? You can have that, you can make that happen, and you don't need a traditional publisher, and you'll have a loyal audience that reads your stuff. If we're talking strictly big, if we're talking strictly business, that's what every author wants. Do they care where that comes from? Most of us, the answer is no. So there you go. If you can throw like the ego of prestige out of the way, you have a shit ton of options. Now, all of that said, that doesn't mean that traditional publishing isn't the right choice for some genres. It is. However, they do have to keep this in mind. The slower they are and the faster things become, sooner or later a better alternative will come around. And when that happens, Mr. Declan, you might be making Declans on a regular basis just for yourself. In fact, you're already doing things on your own, right? So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I actually started in self-publishing. I wound up with one book that got published. One publisher, self-published. One book got published 3 times because I went from a publisher to self-publishing it because they were going too slow, and it was a good thing too because the publisher no longer exists. So it went from traditional, a small publisher to self-pub to back with another indie publisher. So yeah, and frankly, self-publishing is just faster at current rate of speed, especially since I'm doing this to kill time between book releases from my other publishers. I intend to just write all 5 books, publish all 5 books, one right after the other, and just knock them out. And I hope to coordinate with the 2 publishers to make sure that I'm not stepping on their toes for when they release one of my other books, which would just be awkward. It's like, so which book
But would it really be? I mean, let's go. Let's talk about one thing. Like you have. I mean, like as prolific I am with my big mouth, right? You, my friend, are one of the most prolific dudes I talk to on this show. Isn't more content out for you that's more available for everybody actually beneficial for you?
Oh, it really is. My problem is just a matter of I have enough problems right now trying to remember what book am I talking about this week. Right now I've got a horror series with Silver Empire. I'm here to talk with you about White Ops from Tuscany Bay Press. And meanwhile, I'm writing a vampire series on the other hand. So it's like, wait, which headspace should I be in right now? Which character am I talking about? Oh, wait. Yes. I'm here to talk with you about the guy who throws nuclear bombs.
Yeah. So, we probably should get to that before we wrap up the show. Talk about the guy that throws nuclear bombs.
That would be helpful.
And why is he throwing nuclear? Actually, here's a question. Why would he throw nuclear bombs? That sounds like a very dangerous hobby.
In this case, it's imagine Sauron in space.
Okay.
That's the really, really short version. We've only got 6 minutes, I think.
We could theoretically go longer, but yeah, I just know that you have things to do, good sir, and I don't want to. And you have been astonishingly gracious, and I think I also dare say you've had some fun. But yes. Yeah, we can. So we'll just talk about your book. for as long as we need to talk about the book. But yeah,
Okay.
we are winding down, but we're not. But I don't want you to feel rushed about your
Okay.
book. Yeah.
The like I said, the really abbreviated version is it's a space opera, and well, let's just say that there are invaders from a completely different galaxy who have been in hibernation, going from one galaxy to another, as you do when you're traveling for a few thousand years, and they're slowly waking up, and they're hungry, and they have no problems eating anything that isn't one of their people. So nukes are useful, especially when
Yeah.
you're killing them in job lots.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just like I just like that's just a dangerous little hobby. I like
Oh,
yeah, I just like I what do? I throw nukes. Uh,
okay, well,
yeah,
we're not doing it with like a football or a hand grenade. It's like,
that
okay, we got missile launchers.
maybe so, but you had okay again. My a little inner absurd little monster just like I wonder if he's throwing it like a football. And I realize that might be the dumbest thing ever, but with the way you said that, like you throw nukes, I'm like, okay.
Hey, you get the right gravity, you get a
Yeah.
long timer. They go long. Hey, especially on our moon, you might actually be able to get away with that. Something in the kiloton range.
Possibly, like I wouldn't want to like damage the planet, but you might be able to get away with that on Mars too. I mean, it's possible. Moon for sure. Like,
Moon for sure.
Moon for sure. Mars and not maybe so.
Well,
much, but
in my world, I've got too many people actually living on Mars. There's actually a district on Mars that's built on top of the ruins of the first Mars colony. For some reason, they call the district Elon. We don't know why.
Okay.
But then again, go ahead.
I just gonna say, me and you could talk. Probably do like you have a very nice dry humor to you. I think you just would crack me up if I ever met you at a con somewhere. I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah, well, if we're at the same con, just look for the bright yellow jacket. It actually works. Yeah, there are actually some people who have seen me in person without my traditional canary yellow blazer, and they will look right past me. And these are people who have been at my wedding, mind you. They walked right past me. They circled around and went, "Oh, I didn't notice you. You're not wearing the jacket." It's like, okay. So
it's going like this. Just there. But I'm sorry, buddy.
Well, now I'm adding the hat. So who knows? Maybe that'll work. But yeah. Well, let's just put it this way. Part of the district of Elon has John Carter Avenue with Edgar Rice Burroughs Street at the intersection. So stuff like that.
Yeah, I popped just a little. I love me John Carter and Mars. I do love me some John. I think most old school sci-fi authors love that series.
Oh yeah,
right.
I don't know anyone who dislikes it.
Yeah.
And, if I ever find somebody who does dislike it, I'm going to look at them very cautiously. It's like, do I
actually at that point? Here's the next question you asked, Declan. Do you like ice cream? If the answer is no, you just run. Just that is not a human being anymore. That is a liar. That is some kind of weird scumbag. It's either an alien or a liar. Either way, just be cautious. Don't take your eyes off it because you never know what it's going to do next. And just quietly ask for help. Hey, listen, this guy doesn't. Because again, like I said something earlier, I've said this to many people. People don't like ice cream flavors. I have never met a person alive that can honestly look at me and say they hated ice cream.
Amen.
Yeah. All right. Continue with your story synopsis here.
Now, basically, I set it up. I open with a 10-year interstellar war. Have to be picky there. And as the interstellar war is going on, I have basically a space paladin, Sean Patrick Ryan, basically sit back, and while everybody's running around trying to kill each other, he's looking going, all right, you know what? Before this war started, these guys were, border skirmishes. They were raiders. They were pirates. They were a pain in the ass. They weren't taking on the entire known galaxy. So we've got two questions. Well, we got two possibilities. Because you have to answer the question, where did they get this magic technology that puts them on par with some of the biggest badasses in the planetary system? So two options. One, there's the Halo option, which is they found stuff on a planet. They retroactively, they reverse engineered it, which doesn't really account for how they did this over the course of like a year. Second option, somebody gave them these tools. Somebody gave them this technology. And if we've learned anything from people who do that, like on Earth, you don't give away your best toys to people who are basically acting on your behalf, because you never know if they're ever going to turn around and try to shoot you with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if their toys are the best technology this galaxy has to offer, we are in deep trouble. So while everyone is trying to fight the current war, Sean Ryan is trying to fight the next war. He's dumping as much money as he can find into developing technologies. And he's putting together a strike team of other space paladins in order to seek out this new life and blow it straight to hell. Because if this is their opening gambit to start an interstellar war before anybody even knows they exist, they don't come in peace. And if they're as strong as as he guesses they are, we have to hit them in such a way that they don't know we're onto them. So
interesting.
So White Ops is basically Black Ops, only on the side of virtue, and it still has to be covert, because if we do this out in the open, they're going to attack early before we can prepare, and they're going to kill everybody.
This is almost like an old school spy story. It's an old school, it's an old school spy story is what it sounds like.
Oh yeah, and I call it a space opera mainly because there are espionage elements, there are local political elements, and I don't mean left or right today, I mean more like, green aliens versus red aliens on Barsoom, and, things like that. And it's got espionage, it's got action, it has a lot of nukes going off in it.
Oh yeah. No. It sounds like, honestly, this is what it sounds like. It sounds like you took your favorite, like you took old school pulp, you added modern day thriller, and with a little science fiction and fantasy speckled in, just to make this really interesting flavor of ice cream. I hope you're okay with that little description.
Oh yeah, I'm fine with that description.
Yeah.
To some degree, it's like, gee, am I writing science fiction or am I writing fantasy? Because I even have, well, let's just say the aliens from the next galaxy over is directly referred to as they have a One Ring effect, where they infiltrate, they stay undercover, and then they try to offer you whatever your heart's darkest desire is.
Oh, they're evil genies. Awesome.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so evil genies. I'm doing my next book. I'm drawing my current. I'm actually drawing. I never thought I'd say that in a million years. My next release.
Mm-hmm.
I started during the pandemic. I've been drawing with some pretty professional people that have worked for Warner Brothers, people who have worked on Game of Thrones, people who have worked so I've done some really cool shit on the show, right? And so I've been getting better. I drew a Ryu that actually kind of looks like an old school Ryu. It's by all means, I can see all my little flaws, but I still did a Ryu throwing his bullshit fireball out into the world. I don't care. I had fun with it. That's all I'm doing is having fun. Yeah. But I'm doing my next book is a homage to Fahrenheit 451. And I thought one of the things that, again, you put in your personal stuff into outreach one of your stories, right? Well, I still have Montag and Clarice as the main characters. And if you know, and obviously anyone that has read Fahrenheit 451 knows who they are, but I changed it up. So being a fireman, he's on reform and he's learning how to draw. So I was like, wait a minute, I'm learning how to draw. I should actually be the one drawing this book. Wow, what did I walk into? But my next writing release is I'm doing a old school Russian fairy tale mixed with Arthurian legends, and it's a female version of Parker kind of mashed into that, so it's gonna be kind of fun. I mashed up Percival with Rasputin.
Okay.
And I mashed because I realized that if any of the Knights of the Round could be an evil genie, it actually would be Percival because of the Holy Grail. And I was like, so who better to mash up of Russian history than Rasputin? Right? That's
nice.
such a yeah. See, there is a logic to my crazy sometimes, right? Yeah. So evil genies, I'm totally down with them because I'm writing one right now. So and then we'll wrap up shortly. But the last thing I guess I want to talk about, the best sci-fi universes, the sci-fi is shown, not really gone in great detail. Like you look at Star Wars. Oh, yeah. I love Star Trek. Don't get me wrong. I love Next Generation. I love Deep Space Nine. The original series has definitely got its charm. Voyager. Okay, we won't go there very much, but no disrespect to the cast of Voyager. I think the whole premise of the show was not what they should have done. There were too many balls that were right there that they low hanging fruit that they did not even grab, and I'll never understand to this day why. That's as much as we're going to go. But the thing I was going to say is, if you look at Star Wars, look at Guardians of the Galaxy, look at Cowboy Bebop. These are these fun, kooky sci-fi worlds that happen to tell these really great old school style stories. It's almost like they've reimagined pulp. White Ops is almost like is your version of that. It's what it sounds like. This is your little cool little pocket universe of awesome, and you're just like, okay, what's all this crazy shit I liked when I was reading, and can I put it all in this one book? That's what it sounds like to me. Am I on something or on something?
Oh, it's basically a reflection of everything almost everything I've read and watched over the last 30 years, mainly because I've had to come back and rewrite it every 2 years for the last 25. And of course, we've got all the accumulated experience from before when I actually started writing the bloody thing. But yeah, more or less.
More or less.
Like I said, when my favorite books are Vertical Run and John Ringo and a little bit of Timothy Zahn and some J. Michael Straczynski, you basically have an idea of the pace and the scope of things.
So I'm going to get this occasionally fun. I'm going to get these fun, silly spy adventures with guns. And every once in a while, a character will say something so profound, like, holy shit. There you go. Dude, that is not a bad model to go. I for one, can totally respect that. So, right. So it sounds, but if I'm going to, I guess I'll have the second last question before we get to plugging in the books is this. Why did you rewrite it every 2 years?
Because every time I came back to it, I didn't like it. I want to just keep rewriting it. Like I said, about 10, 15 years ago, I had to take out an entire 40-page sequence because it was basically a run and gun through the bowels of a space station against, some absurd amount of mercenaries. And Sean Ryan, other people within the universe refer to him as the most dangerous human. And it's like, you know what? This is all nice and all. This is, it's fun. It's brainless. It's very Die Hard. And I like Die Hard. It is my favorite.
Hey, listen. Die Hard is brainless fun. I'm with you there.
And I had to spike it all because I came up with one very simple solution for why is he the most dangerous man in the universe, in the galaxy? Not because he's a 6'5" telepath, not because he's got more martial arts training than he knows what to do with, but because he comes at problems from a sideways direction. and it turned 40 pages of run and gun into 5 pages.
Yep.
And it's stuff like that I had to rewrite.
And it's those 5 pages that are just infinitely better than your 40. You're like, this is way better. Now what the fuck do I do with my book? Right? Right.
Well, yeah. Thankfully, length was not an issue for a simple reason that it was long enough already. Like I said, when I was writing, I thought, oh, so a book is between 350 and 400 pages. I got this. And of course, all of them were single-spaced pages. So I had some more. I can afford to cut some words.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you just go and you just want to what's the term? You got to be willing to make that. I'm actually looking for your books right now. Oh, there it is. It's a It looks like it's going to be a series of 3.
The first 3 are coming out January, February, March.
Okay.
First one's out already. Second one comes out the 15th, I think. And the third one comes out in the Ides of March. The main... yeah.
You're good.
Yes. Thank you.
You are very good. I'm just going to put this up. I'm going to put the Amazon link. Don't hold it against me. I'm just putting the Amazon link for people out there. They'll see it.
Yeah.
Right. Up there.
And the first 2 books are Massive Interstellar War, and book 3 is... You asked why I kept rewriting. Book 3 was originally a 30-page vignette. It was a short story.
Sorry, I can just picture you doing something like that.
No. It's exactly what you're thinking. And it was like, you know what, this is nice and all, but it is way too condensed for... the plot was terrorists take over the happiest place in the galaxy. It is an entire planet-sized theme park.
Oh no!
Yeah. So
I
had a lot of fun.
Oh my god, yes.
And well, let's just say that after a while, it's just okay. So terrorists take over a planet that shall not be named. And yeah.
Okay.
And then we reprogram the animatronics so that we can go full Westworld if we want.
Okay.
So you have you have these space Templars who are there because Sean Ryan mouthed off to his boss. Somebody said,
no.
"Oh yeah, his boss is an alien." And so when she says, "Well, you fought all these countless battles, you fought these wars. Now that things are quieting down, what do you want to do now?" So he decides, "Well, I'm taking my team to this planet."
Oh no.
And she goes, "You know what? This is a very good idea. You need some rest and relaxation, and it would be a great cross-cultural opportunity for the alien members of your team." And he's gone, "Don't joke with the alien. They don't get it." And so they're there, and he's about to lose his mind, and but luckily the terrorists show up, and the party starts.
I had this. Okay, so I had 2 really bad jokes come into my head when you were talking about this. So one of them I asked, it's book related, one's not. Do you ever see the movie Major Payne?
No.
Okay, it's Damon Wayans plays a major, and he's a special ops. He goes in all the dangers. There's a point. My favorite. They just charged him. It's like, there's got to be somebody that needs killing. You go, "I'm sorry, Major. You killed them all." Right? So I'm just like, that somehow is how I see your guy. That's just like, there's got nothing to do. Tears in my eyes, right? Because there's nothing to do. Here's the other thing. The worst thing about theme parks, the part that you're truly in hell, is when you're in a long line and you hear the same stupid song over and over and over. First time it's quaint. It's like, oh, I see why people like this. The second time you're like, okay. And then around the 10th time you're like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna have as much fun about it when I finally get to the front of the line. You've only moved like 5 inches, and you're like, "What the fuck?" You finally get there, and you're all the potentials. Unless the rides are amazing, which isn't always. Sometimes it is, but sometimes you've already been taken out of the theme park ride because of the line to get there. You just basically committed to the line at this point. Once you get to a certain point, it's like I'm not getting out of this line because I made it this far. I gotta see this to the end. And sometimes you go, you know what, and which also leads to a very important lesson, folks. If you get to the point where it's not fun, bail. I don't care where you are in the freaking line. Just bail. You'll feel much better about it. But about life in general. Don't quit because it's hard. Quit because it sucks. It's really good advice. Follow it. But so here's the thing: when he, yeah. So when he inevitably kills some terrorists, is it going to be to this dude in some of these really terrible themes? Because you had to have so much fun, like coming up with like the worst ways to make like. You had to be a little bit of an asshole to your character. You just had to be a little bit. You had to. It was right there. Right.
Let's put it this way. Book 3 is called Main Street DOA. So yes, I had fun. I had lots of fun mostly at my character's expense, him and his team, and it's. I do use the tune "It's a Small World After All" in painful, malicious ways.
See, that was the tune I was thinking. Like you knew exactly what I was thinking. That's the song.
That is the song.
That's the song of hell. Yeah, it is the song of hell. And the ride. And here's the thing: if you're a parent, you're screwed because it's perfect for kids. If you're not a parent, bail. Just bail.
Yeah.
Your kids
do not
will
pass
get
go.
You.
Do not collect $200. Run.
Just run. Just run. Don't do it. Don't just don't. Right? Just because again, that can truly be hell. I think on that note, Mr. Declan, dude, you've been a pleasure. I hope you've had a ton of fun with this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because we talked about everything, I think.
I'm sure we can come up with a few more things, but if we have the time.
Yeah, but I think I hope you come back. Would you like to come back at some point down the road? Yeah.
Sure. Whenever you run out of people.
That's not okay. That's a weird thing. I'm never out of people, but okay. I'm always open to talk. So I'll tell you what. When you get to we can do a special. It's a Small World edition of Just Joshing. Right. You can come back when that's released, and you'll be like, I'll do that. I'll go through that kind of hell. We'll both bring like booze. We'll both bring booze. Right? Because
the whole bottle.
Yeah. The whole bottle of booze. It's like, what? Are you drawing tonight, Josh? Nope. I'm just drinking because we're doing It's a Small World After All edition of Just Joshing, and me and Declan are going to talk about all the ways he puts character through hell, and we're both going to laugh and cry at the same time. Right? So. But in all seriousness, dude, you were a pleasure to have on the show. So why not tell people where they can find you? I've already mentioned White Ops, which has been released here. Now, do you have a website people can find you at, or you interact with at all?
Oh, if it's a website, if there's a platform, I'm there. I'm on Substack. It's declanfinn.substack. Declanfinn.com is my regular, straightforward blog. My books are on silverempire.org, silverempirepress.org, something like that. I am on Declan Finn books.
Declan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you faded for just a second. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
And your website, just because I'm
hold on. Oh, sorry, hold on. It's one N in Declan.
Oh, okay. I can fix that.
Yeah.
Trained, professional.
Yeah, but it's Declan Finn books. Declan Finn books on Twitter. DeclanFinn.substack. Again, Declan only has one N. Finn has two. Good luck trying to keep track of that.
Is that your website? Your actual proper website?
Yes. So it's the
Sweet.
blog, it's the website, it's the Substack, it's the Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page. I've got Finn's Firebrands, which is my Facebook group. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Parler. I'm on MeWe. I'm on Gab, Getter. Like I said, if there's a social media platform, I'm probably on it by now. And trying to keep track of it is like, okay, find the P. Find the P under the shell. Like,
no. It's like 3-card Monty. Find the Black Queen. Here you go.
Yeah,
You
same
lose.
difference.
I'm on Pinterest. How did I get there? Oh, shit.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm actually on Pinterest now that I
So
think
am I.
about it. But
Yeah, I'm on there too.
yeah, it's like,
I'm
why
on
are we on it?
I
don't know.
See, I have more of a justification than you do at this point because I actually do draw stuff. It's just Instagram's better at this point.
Gotcha. But
right, it used to be. Oh, why did they? You horrible Amazon evil thing. Amazon's an evil empire. Just saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, I'm on everything except for YouTube and Rumble, and that's both of those are probably coming soon, despite my better judgment.
So I made a conscious decision with YouTube that's where my video resumes are. I'm not trying to build my YouTube audience. I don't care, and it might sound counterintuitive, but I only got so much time in the day, man. Right. I'm trying to build this up. That's what I've been building.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. But anyways, Declan, good luck with the buck. You were a pleasure to have up. Stick around. We'll talk a little bit off the air and wrap things up. But for everybody watching and listening to the show, thank you for watching and listening to the show. Like what you've heard, hit the follow button on Twitch. My current release is Alice 1. Alice is Greek mythology. Alice is Pandora. Alice chases the Queen of Hearts over the edge of the world and ends up in the Greek underworld, where to escape, she must play Jason of the Argonauts, a game of croquet. Inside the Greek underworld, Alice and company face gods, monsters, and perhaps the most terrifying thing of all, themselves. It's available now on Amazon exclusively at this moment in time. Inevitably, it will be heading to other platforms. All right. On that note, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I will be back Wednesday as I'm doing quite a few things tomorrow. I took tomorrow off from streaming. I will be back Wednesday with Gregory Phillips, which will be a fun little chat at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Stay inspired, everybody. Keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys Wednesday.